Back to my series, What's Worse Than? Today, what's worse than the government wasting your taxpayer dollars? And the answer is you voting for Democrats who will come after more of your money that they can waste in Washington, D.C. Now, there are 250,000 federal employees just in the D.C. area. And I know you think their purpose is, to feed the hungry, improve American lives. No, their job is to spend your money and to go after even more of it. That's their total existence. And maybe you'll get a biscuit or a bowl of beans out of it, but listen, you're not going to hold them accountable, so it's perfectly fine. My goal is to make your blood boil today, make you angry at the waste. And if it doesn't work, you are hopeless. You need to give all of your money. You should not keep a penny of it. It should all go to those guys in Washington, D.C. Now, I want to talk about the Department of Agriculture. And I could do this with every single federal department, okay? This one, though, got some good examples that date back to the Great Depression era to share with you. The first one is this. They passed an act under FDR that was the Soil Conservation Act. This was an effort to help farmers who were having trouble with soil erosion, which is common. I was raised on a farm, hilly farm in East Tennessee, and big rains come and you lose your topsoil. Can't grow anything like that. So they spent money on trying to make that better. Over 40 years later, they did a study. Did it work? Did it help? The answer was no. Not at all. And yet this department now still exists. It's now called the Natural Resources Conservation Service. 11,000 employees, a $3 billion budget. By the way, half of that budget, if you do the math, is nothing more than salaries, benefits, desks, paper clips, whatever to keep these people going 40 hours a week, spending your money. A second act that was passed under FDR was called the Rural Housing Development Act. Over 50% of Americans lived in rural areas, and they were struggling during the Depression, paying for rent and mortgage, that kind of stuff. This was the money to help them do with that. Now, less than 20% live in rural areas today, but you're saying, wait a minute, this is still going? Yes, it is. The government never learned that the Great Depression is no more. A third one, this is my favorite. They passed a thing called the Rural Electrification Act. By the way, all these are under the Department of Agriculture. The Rural Electrification Act. At the time of the Depression, only 10% of the rural people living in rural areas had electricity. Used to help on that. Also, in 1949, they expanded it to include telephones. And you're saying, wait a minute. No way. Yeah, it exists today. Now, they passed an act in 1994 called the Agriculture Department Reorganization Act, and they changed the name of this. That's all they did. Now it's called the Rural Utilities Administration. I have one question. What the hell do they do? It's just insane. So what's worse than the government wasting your taxpayer money is you voting for people who take even more of it.